Hey, this is Ray the CPA. I'm here to talk to you about not-for-profit commingling. So I did one for small business. I'm doing another commingle video, a follow-up for not-for-profits, because not-for-profits have a slightly different reason. The main reason that you don't want to commingle in not-for-profits is different. If you recall, if you've watched my other video for small businesses, the reason to have, well, first things first, what in the world is commingling? Are we talking about me and my homeboy, homegirl go out to the dating site and I got my wingman and we're mingling, but we're commingling because there's two? No. Bad joke, but here it is. I like bad jokes, so, all right. No. What commingle means, it's most often applied to funds or assets when a fiduciary, a person entrusted with the management of funds, that's you, other than his or her own, that's you, mixes that money with that of others. The commingling is breaching his or her fiduciary duty. So what does that mean? In plain language, if I give you something and you can't tell what's mine from what's yours, it's a problem. So, what do we do about this? All right? First thing we want to do, for practicality, you want to open a separate bank account. You want to keep donor funds and grant funds in separate bank accounts from your general operating account. Okay? If you're paying rent for your building, because here's the scenario that nonprofits, not-for-profits always encounter. It's a common problem, and it is one that will tear your organization apart. Okay? So here's what happens. I am a not-for-profit, so I think that I have to run very, very poor. I don't pay very high salaries, and I try to keep everything as bare bones as possible, and I have a hard time raising funds. So what happens is, I got a donor, I got $50,000. But my monthly bills are $100,000. These are terrible number examples, but I'll give it to you. So I've got $50,000, I've got $100,000. But this $50,000 is already claimed, or it's already assigned to the work your donor is giving it to you, right? This brings us to restricted versus unrestricted funds, okay? Temporary restricted is in there too, but let's just talk about any type of restriction and unrestriction. Ray gives to your not-for-profit, and I say, okay, here's $150. I love the way you do what you do. I can use that $150 for anything I want. Operations, salaries, rent, the works. If I give you $150 and I say, you know what? I really love your park program. You're going to build parks for young kids. I love that. Here's $150 for that. You're supposed to hold that money and use that money only for that project. The problem with not-for-profits is, or for many of us, right? The problem is you already owe $300 for your operations, right? The good people that are working for you already haven't taken a salary in forever, right? Rent's been due, but you've been working things out, and because the not-for-profit community, great people. It's a very rich community. There's a lot of love and there's a lot of passion. So we work with each other, right? But you still owe that money. Now you use my $150 to pay those operational bills. Now it's time to do the work in the park, and you don't have money for it. So you can't effectively move the needle for your donors or move the needle for your organization if you don't separate those funds. And when I say separate those funds, I mean from an accounting standpoint, you cannot use those funds to operate your business. That's one. Two, you need to have them separate so that you can provide support. So when I come back and I say, hey, how'd you spend the $150? You don't have to go and show me a bunch of nonsense or make up invoices or do anything that is borderline fraud, because you're doing the best you can. You can just show me the actual receipt, the actual in and out. And we want to always be careful to not commingle funds, meaning don't combine all of the money. You can't do that. It's going to lead to problems. And then the other thing is, it's just practical. It's easier for you. It's going to cost you less in the long run when your audit is shorter, right? Whether it be an external auditor or it be a person from the foundation or the donor from the donor, when they send somebody out to audit or they ask you for your financial narrative, it's going to be easier if you have separate accounts. How many accounts? Well, that's up to you. At least two. One that's specifically for these fees, and it depends on your grants. I mean, you can have, it's not that expensive to have separate accounts. It just isn't. So it's something to think about. So remember, keep your restricted funds. So let's bring it back full circle. Restricted, unrestricted. Does that make sense? I can't hear you. So you want to keep your restricted funds separate. It makes your accounting for them easier. It makes your reporting for them easier. It makes it easier from a practical standpoint for you to be able to prove out what you've spent and what you haven't spent. All right. As always, please subscribe. Share this to everybody that needs it. Interact with me if you have questions or concerns. I am here to help you. All right? All right, take care. Thank you very much. This is Ray the CPA. Over and out.